Hey guys, welcome back to another Monster Hunter video. Today we'll take a look at even more changes added with Title Update 1 that will help a ton with the Zoshia and Tempered Mizutsune fights. We also have a bunch of new items that I missed in the previous video and many other secrets that were added. So without further ado, let's dive right in. Now, since we were talking about making those two boss fights easier, the first thing I recommend is farming arena challenges on repeats. Yeah, it doesn't make sense, but just follow me right here. As you can see, we can pretty much get max potions and pick a meal vouchers on repeat from these. So I especially recommend the Arena Chotacabra since it's much easier, but you get the max potion, which is very good. It pretty much instantly heals you to 100% HP and also further extends that gauge a little bit. But if you also get the pick a meal voucher, you can then use this at the canteen for all of these very strong meal selections that you would normally have to wait until you get the meal invitation to even get all of these buffs. So now you can spend those in exchange to getting these very strong buffs right here that last for a full 60 minutes. And right now, the one that I recommend the most if you want to purely focus on survivability is the Fresh Sealed Cuisine. This is going to give you pretty much everything you need. It gives you Capture Pro, which most of the fights will end in capturing, so you get more from them. You get the Insurance Meal. Pretty much all of them give, but this prevents your group from being penalized the first time a member faints, which is of insane help. And finally, it also gives you the Moxie Meal. It prevents fainting one time and heals you when damage taken exceeds your remaining HP. And if you combine this with the fact that your Palico does pretty much the same, you pretty much have 3 carting possibilities for getting downed 3 times before you actually get penalized and fail that mission. And that is per player, which is really crazy. Now, I don't recommend jumping into SOS Flayers just yet against Zoshia or Tempered Mizutsune, unless you know that fight very well and are capable to survive. Otherwise, you may just ruin that fight for somebody else. So for the time being, try to get better at it this way and then jump in SOS Flayers and help others out. Now, moving on to number 2, one thing that is not necessarily new, it's just that Capcom forgot about it. You can pretty much instantly reset all of your mantles, even if you just literally pop them. So let me show you how to do it. You basically just have to fast travel twice in a row right here at the training area. So for example, in this case, I finished this Arc Belt fight. I'm going to go back to the training area. The system notifies me that the mantle has been refreshed. However, I'm going to go ahead and fast travel once again. So back again at the training area and then go to other locations such as the Windward Plains. And as you can see, it's pretty much fully reset. So this is exactly what you need to do. You just have to make sure that once you go to that training area, you fast travel to it again while you're still in the training area, and then the game will get confused that your mantles were previously on no cooldown, so now you're going to pretty much have no cooldown on them when you go back to a hunt or whatever. A very good option if you want to go back-to-back hunts but still have all the mantles available, such as for example the corrupted one, which gives you all of those extra attacks. But moving on to number 3, let's check out some of the other new items that were added with Title Update 1. Starting with the talismans, there are 4 of them that got their level caps increased, so you can go ahead and get 1 extra level of upgrades for them. So this includes the Convert Charm, which you now can get to rank 2, which gives you level 2 Convert Element. Though I'm not planning to use that one since the new Zoshia armor has that enough on its own. But then we have the Fitness Charm, which now gets full on level 5. So full on level 5 in Constitution, which is going to be excellent. We also have the Evasion Charm, which now goes to level 4, giving you Evade Window 4. So a really comfortable skill to have if you want to implement that in your build. This may be the chance, but there's also an Earplugs 2 right now. One of these talismans right here gives you straight up level 2 earplugs, which should cover about 90% of the shouts in the game. I think that there's only 1 or 2 that actually need earplugs level 3. But this is something that Capcom is likely going to provide further upgrades in the future for. This includes some of the other charms as well. Now, in terms of the armors, we did talk about a couple of them. So, for example, completing that mission for Alma gave us those 2 spectacles. Her strategy spectacles, which gives us geologist for some extra mining from the outcrops, and also the square glasses, which gives us botanist and also outdoorsman. Those were pretty useful, but there's actually more. So there are 2 armor sets that were added, and both of these, as well as the associated earrings actually unlock once you finish the challenges against Rathian and Chatakabra back at the arena challenges. So the moment you do that, you're going to get the Clerk, the Guild Cross Armor, the Gourmand's Earrings, and the Earrings of Dedication. These are the 4 new armors, quote-unquote, that unlock from the 2 arena challenges. But in my opinion, I think that, like, probably the most useful over here is going to be the Guild Cross. You pretty much get full back-to-back max level earplugs, windproof, tremor resistance, flinch free. I'm not even sure anything can, like, make you move at this point with all of these things over here. Maybe if you add one of the mantles on top, you're probably going to just sit there like a freaking mountain. But Clerk, on the other hand, I'm not so sure about it. You will definitely not use this against Zoshia unless you're some kind of masochist. But, I mean, some of these skills can be good, like Divine Blessing, Recovery Up, and also the Pellicle Rally is what you get from it. Probably something that you're going to use just to customize your character more. We also get those 2 earrings, like I said. The first one is going to give you the wide range, so this, makes items to affect nearby allies, like 60% of their efficacy. So if you use something like the healing powders, there are some new stronger healing powders right now in the game that you can easily get, by the way, from the minigame challenges, from the bowling that we get in the Grand Hub. So if you go ahead and take a bunch of those, if you heal yourself, on top of the fact that it already heals everybody in your vicinity, now with this, it heals them even more. But again, you're going to have to make some sacrifices to have that on. And besides that, we also have the Gourmand's Earring. This is going to give you speed eating and also a free meal. So you both eat food faster and you also have a chance to not consume it. But since we were on the subject of armors and also survivability just now, maybe pay attention to the fact that you can now have 1 or 2 extra levels of upgrade to your existing armors. For example, in this case, I had my Arcveld armors. Part of them were upgraded to the previous max, I believe was level 7 for these. Now I have another level on top that can provide even more defense for some of these new fights. If only I had extra armor spheres, because I consumed them on pretty much the old gear. So it's just in time for me to farm even more of those spheres in the new patch. Besides that, I think that some of the other sets might have gotten 2 extra levels, though don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure that I maxed out my Gormagala previously to 7, but now it seems to jump all the way to 9. And you will definitely need those extra defenses. I do have a build ready that's amazing. It pretty much almost gives you immortality. It gives you a lot of survivability, a lot of damage reduction, and it's so comfortable. Like the Zoshia armor, as you're going to see in that video, is so comfortable to play with right now that I don't feel like switching to pure burst DPS builds. I don't care about speedrunning anymore. The comfort over here is just something I can't even put into words. But let's keep on going to the secrets section of the video. If you head over to the hub and specifically take this route to the right side, you're going to have a bunch of vines that lead to some jumping puzzles here. Now you're going to find a bunch of coins that you can grab, such as one of them is going to be on one of these rocks right there in the middle you can jump on. They spawn randomly. There's another one here to the right on this small platform. But if you make your way past these waterfalls, just going by this cliff and then jump down behind this waterfall, pretty much next to the bowling pin area, you're going to find this chocobo looking bird. I call it chocobo because I played Final Fantasy. I'm not sure how you call it in Monster Hunter, but this little guy over here does bring you presents every now and then if you interact with the nest trinkets. As you can see, in my case, I got a bunch of Carbolite ore. I also got an airy egg, but you can get a whole bunch of other ingredients as well that you can then funnel into upgrading your gear or at least getting some nice food buffs in there. So pay attention to it every now and then and check it out. Equally, in the case of the Diva, when you have it during the nighttime, you can actually get an extra blessing from it if you just listen to its concert. You just have to stay on any chair, and then there's going to be a cutscene that plays, at the end of which you're going to get that blessing. Unfortunately, I can't find that footage any longer, but for me, it pretty much gave me some stat boost. It increased some of my damage, also some of my defense, and I believe it also increases elemental resistance, which is actually pretty useful. You can stack it with some of the other buffs before going into a fight. But it's random. It doesn't always happen during the nighttime, so yeah, it is not going to always be possible. Now, since we talked about spawning these bosses, let's also talk about some of the changes to that. First of all, if you want to have an easier time and spend less guild points on getting both Zoshia and Tempered Mizutsune to spawn, the best location is probably going to be in the ruins of Wyveria. Zoshia only spawns during inclemency, so maybe try to play around with that. It doesn't matter what time of day it is, but as you can see, I already got Zoshia spawning over here. Unfortunately, Mizu didn't, but you can also check out some of the other maps as it does have a chance to spawn in the Scarlet Forest as well. But this way, you don't have to spend two separate batches of 500 guild points to go for one or the other. Just go to ruins and do that on repeat until you see both of them. And once you have them, save them, or along the way, it takes about like 5 or so tries, give or take, for at least one of them to appear. That's, by the way, for all of you who didn't get a chance to see them spawning too often. And on a related note, some of the bosses had new spawns in new regions. For example, Gormagala can now appear in the Wounded Hollow, which is, let me tell you, such a godsend. That fight is so much easier now that you have a much better camera, that you have place to move around. It pretty much didn't even stand a chance. So if you were struggling with this before but still want all the resources from it, give it a try. This is probably going to be really good. But let's keep on going, and next tip is to pay attention to bounties more than ever before, specifically for the two ones that give you the silver melding tickets. And the reason for that is because now they have a much higher price, so they jumped from 300 points that they would give previously for melding to now 450, which fits perfectly because the prices for that also increased. So for example, with the new prices, I can pretty much buy 3 of those weapon orbs in just one single silver ticket, or 5 if we're talking about the armor, which fits really nicely. And of course, especially if you didn't get the golden tickets from the Nightflower method that was patched a while ago. Or in the case of going for specific level 2 decorations, it pretty much costs one whole ticket now to get one of those, but you at least get directly the thing that you need. So get these whenever you have a chance. More on the farms in a future video. But anyway, on a final note, there's one more thing that I wanted to cover. Well, a couple of things actually, but quickly. One is that bowling challenge pretty much changes its course almost every day. So for example, when Title Update 1 launched, this was the running course right here, the longer version of it. But this morning, I had this one right here, which was significantly different. So obviously, different rules apply, just like what I said before. The smaller pins are just there to affect the trajectory of your barrel. So in this case, be sure to find the proper spot for it. But luckily, if you don't activate the tickets, you can just rinse and repeat throwing these barrels and do test runs to see which course and which trajectory is the best to ensure the maximum points. In this case, the medium, but especially the large pin, are going to give you the highest amount of points, so focus on destroying those. The small pins can be ignored. And also, on a final note, the only other thing I recommend for all of you who are having difficulties with stuttering, because I had them as well, but a lot of folks were able to confirm that deleting the shatter.cache2 into your game's file has a very good chance at fixing your stuttering issues. In this case, the game will just recreate a new one, but supposedly with no longer any errors. So in this case, you should see much better performance and stability. Give it a try. It did work for me. This is how it looks like, by the way. It's in the root directory, so in the same place that you also find the Monster Hunter Wilds exe file. And that pretty much concludes today's video. Let me know down below if there's anything else that I missed, and I'll see you guys in the next one.